1% of dudes rapping, they ain't nice as me. 98% ain't live the same type of life as me. The judge gave me life and then they sent me where the life is be. That level 4 with depth and vice, the type of stuff they like to see. Two choices, fight or flee. I refuse to die a chump. I never been a mark, but damn, it's scary when that riot jump. I seen dudes cry, get pumped, and some sexually brutalized. Knew a dude who lost his life and he was only doing 5 year-long racial fights when homie all you do is ride. Lonely days and nights up in a hole causing suicide. From the moment you arrive, you see the Mexican mafia, AB skinheads with big giant swastikas, pro-black philosophers, the BGF, the Kumi, and Muslims who will murk you from the nation to the Sunni. That MS was loony, quick to ride up on they rival. Even Christians went to church, hide knives up in a Bible. Political and tribal, the Crips and Damus, the Long Beach, the Hubs and the Dubs and the Grooves, the IE, the Bakersfield, the Dago Pyrus, the Hustlers quick to roll, the gangsters don't move. Whatever click you choose, you better.
This morning, just a couple hours ago, I woke up and about 5 o'clock this morning, and I got up and when I woke up, I said, all right, I can't go back to sleep. I rolled over, I picked my phone up, I started playing on my phone, little Castle Clashers or whatever little game is, playing on my phone. About a few minutes before 6 o'clock, my dog started barking. I'm like, what they barking for? No sooner as they started barking, it was a crash at my front door. Boom, 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 boom.
Now, I got to say, being a former criminal and a cat that was in the streets myself, I think for anybody that was involved in the street and have been to jail, that is the worst sound we want to hear, man. Even if it's one of your homeboys playing games and stuff, that's something we don't like. That boom, 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 that knocking on the door, because we know who that is. We know who that is.
Come out right now. They call my whole name. Come open the door now. You got 10 seconds before we kick it in and knock it down. Open the door now. I jumped up. I said, whoa, that's the police.
On the
I said, that's the police. I jumped up, man. I put me some underwear on, stuff real quick. I mean, not underwear, but little sweats or something real quick. And I run to the door. Run to the door, y'all. They like, come out. The door rocking. Boom, boom. I open the door. When I open the door, man, it's police on police on police with guns pointed to my face. They holding up shields. It's police cars everywhere. They in back of the police cars, guns drawn. I'm like, what is this? Get down. Get down right now. Get down on the ground. I get down on right there at the door of my house. I get down. They come in, stepped on my arm, my shoulder. Put your hands behind your back. I say, hey, man, you gonna have to do it. Recently, my arm just healing up from being broke. I can't move. You gonna have to get. They putting it back. Who in the house? Who's in the house? I said, man, I'm the only one in the house. My wife is gone right now, y'all. She'll be back later. I said, I'm the only one in the house, man, me and my dogs. They cuffed me up. In fact, yeah, I ain't got on number some drawers, matter of fact. No, I got my sweats, yeah. Cuffed me up. Who else is, I said, man, they running through the house, kicking in doors, knocking in doors with their guns, looking for people. They went in every room. They went everywhere. They went in my backyard, checked my garage, checked in the den, checked in the room where the washing machine dries and stuff. They went everywhere. And I'm asking them, what is this about, man? What's going on? What's up? Oh, we gonna let you know. We gonna let you know. It was 27 police and 10 police cars. They got the block blocked off. Police cars cross my grass everywhere. 27 police, man, with full ride gear on for little old me. Little old me, man.
My husband used to ejaculate prematurely until this.
Okay, so my husband has this fun habit of ejaculating prematurely every time.
When they got me up, boom, cuffed me up. They running through. I asked the head police was a lady. I say, can I at least have my phone? She said, where your phone at? I say, it's in the back bedroom on the bed. She said, I get it. Asked another police, can I get my wallet? Because, I'm thinking, okay, well, back to jail for something. Here I go. I need my phone and my wallet. He go down to the den. Where your phone? I said, my phone. I said, my wallet's in the den, sir. He go down there. He see the YouTube plaque stuff that's in back of me right there. He say, you do YouTube? I say, yes, sir. I do YouTube. Now, really, my only concern was my dogs. I'm asking, I said, well, what about my dogs? Y'all finna take me to jail. My dogs, you know what I'm saying? My dog, y'all know I love my dogs. They say, we're going to have to try to figure it out. You ain't got nobody you can call? I don't mess with a lot of people, y'all. So anyway, they take me and they put me in a police truck in the front seat. They put me in a police truck. Boom. By this time, they had put the handcuffs in front of me, though. I wasn't back. They put them in front of me.
Now, I know as an individual, once again, who's been to jail a lot, like Cartoon has, man, I think, and now that you staying out of trouble, that's the last thing you want, man, to be put back in a police car, because it's just an uncomfortable situation, right? The whole entire time that I've been out, I had 2 encounters with the police, right? One encounter, I knew they was 100% wrong. I hadn't did nothing. Either they was arresting me for something that I done long time ago, or it was a mistaken identity. Was the was the thought process in my mind, man. And they didn't actually handcuff me, But yeah, I know that doing time. That's the last thing an individual wants, to be handcuffed in a police car. And that's the good thing about when now you're not committing crime, you're not staying out the way. You don't really have no worries, because like I say, either it's something so old, it might be an old charge from back in the 90s. And if that's the case, you can't do nothing about that anyway. And now if you ain't doing nothing and they come messing with you, then it's got to be, an error on their part.
They seen I wasn't tripping. I wasn't hostile. None of that. I didn't. And I'm asking them, I say, man, all this, y'all do all this for just me? I'm like, hey, well, you know what? I ain't hurt nobody. What's up? Okay. As I'm sitting in the truck, they talking. 27 police, y'all. The head investigator lady, she comes out with my phone and some paperwork. The paperwork she had was the original paperwork from my original arrest warrant when they took me to jail a few months back. And so she like, wait a minute. She say, I'm reading this. She say, have you been to jail? I said, yeah, they arrested me. She told me what they come for me for. I said, I just went to jail for that. She said, well, when? I told her. She read it on the paper. She said, this paper right. She said, oh, wait a minute. She got on the phone and she walked away from the car and she calling somebody. And I could barely hear her saying, hey, man, this paperwork said, blah, 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 blah. What it was, y'all, the original arrest warrant for me had still been in the computer. And they never removed it from the computer somehow, some way.
Now, I think what he's talking about is, if you guys keep up with Brother Tony or Cartoon, he talked about maybe a few months back being arrested, on some type of conspiracy. And he didn't really know what was going on then, right? So that's what I think he's alluding to right now is, this mix-up has something to do when he was arrested a few months back on whatever conspiracy. And I was always wondering whatever happened with that. I was wondering if he was going to do a follow-up video or whatever. If he did, I have not seen it. But anyway, that's what I think he's talking about.
And when it ran across their desk, they came to get me. They did their job. They was coming to get me, y'all. Because the arrest was still in there. Even though I went through all that stuff, bailing out, doing all that, it was still in the computer, man. Hey. And she come back She come back around to my side. She say, come on, get out, get out, get out. She gave me my phone. She gave me my paperwork. She uncuffed me. And she said, you know what? We sorry. We made a mistake. We thought you had an active warrant, but you don't. They didn't take it out the computer. We sorry for your inconvenience. Hey, man, say, man. And I wasn't tripping, no. You know, I've been to jail so many times in my life, man. It's like old home week. What they had did, I had been through that so many times. I mean, you know, hey. And they, you know, they boom, 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 boom. Hey, man, we sorry, man. We didn't know. Boom, 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 whatever. I say, man, it ain't no thing. They like, man, you free to go, man. We didn't, boom. We didn't tear up nothing in your house. We didn't mess up nothing. We searched it and this, that. But we didn't, boom. But I'm telling y'all this to say, imagine if I would not have listened to the Holy Spirit few months ago, man, when it...
Now, I'm going to stop the video right there, right? Y'all can go check out the whole video. So what he's alluding to right here, earlier in the video, he was talking about how he was sitting up in church and he heard a message, right? Telling him to get rid of the guns. He had numerous guns in his house and he got rid of the guns, you know, and so had he not got rid of those guns, he definitely would have been going to jail due to an ex-felon in possession of a gun. You know, I think in the state of Alabama, it is a federal crime and a state crime. So he definitely would have been in trouble. Now, who knows how that would have turned out due to it being a basically an illegal entry, you know, on a bogus warrant or whatever. But who knows how that would have turned out, right? But you know, he may have, you know, eventually had the charges dropped, or he may have, you know, once the feds picked it up due to his, if they potentially did pick it up due to his, you know, his long criminal history, the feds may have picked it up and he may have been in some big trouble and, you know, maybe didn't want to fight it, might have had to take a deal. So, you know, that was a good thing. But that's considering if you guys even believe that story. Do you guys really believe that story? That he got arrested for something and they failed to take it they failed to take the warrant out the computer and they ran up in his house or whatever. Y'all believe that? Well, I'm going to tell you, I believe it 100%, and because it happened to me, right? And so I'm going to give you the quick story on when it happened to me. Well, it didn't really happen to me per se, but a situation like that involved me, right? So we're going to go back to about 87, 88, right? I'm in band and I'm running around, man. I'm about 16, 17 years old. You know, me and a couple of my homies, you know, we hanging out. Now, there's a dude by the name of CC. CC is from Palm Springs, right? And he's back and forth between Palm Springs and Bannon. Now, I don't think he's originally from Palm Springs, but he's been down there long enough to where they are accepting him on the North End, you know, the Gateway Posse Crips, which is what they was called at that time, right? So Clarence, CC, he's dating a friend of mine's cousin who happens to live in Bannon, right? And she also happens to stay in these apartments that my everyday homeboy, my homeboy Dre, that I'm with every day. You know, she stays in the very first apartment. So, you know, when we down there hanging out, she was a few years older. You know, we go down there, hang out, kick it, so on and so forth, right? Clarence is messing with her. Now, you got some dudes come out there from Compton, right? And these dudes were actually the first time that I heard DJ Quick. Before DJ Quick released his very first album, these dudes had a hood mixtape that he was circulating. So this was like several years actually before he even dropped the Born and Raised in Compton. You know, I know some of y'all old enough to remember when DJ Quick had all the disses on Born and Raised in Compton. You know, later on when he dropped it on the album, he changed a whole lot of that stuff. So this is, you know, they had that. They was from that side of town. They was from that area, right? And so one of the dudes starts messing with the girl, right, or whatever. Now, Clarence, CC, he had a baby or two. I know maybe later on, I know he had two babies eventually by her, but maybe at that time he only had one or whatever, right? So some type of way they get into it, man. They get into it or whatever. And Clarence ends up And I believe, I believe one of the dudes was down in Palm Springs or something. I don't know. Clarence ended up, long story short, Clarence kicked the door down with a 12 gauge. And it was these two dudes, man, named Scott and Barry. They both was real tall, real dark skinned. One of them was real big and fat. I think it was Barry. Barry was real big and fat. He ended up shooting Barry in the stomach with the 12 gauge. Miraculously, Barry survived. But anyway, so yeah, it happened in Palm Springs. So when it happened, Palm Springs and Bannon, for those who don't know, it's only about a 20-25 minute drive. So the Palm Springs police know that Clarence is also hanging out in Bannon from time to time. So, they put a all points bulletin out for him and notified the police in Bannon, right? Then a day or two later, the Palm Springs police, they arrest Clarence. Clarence ends up bonding out. Now, fast forward to about 3 or 4 weeks later, we hanging out one night. We need to go get some work. You know what I'm saying? That product, we don't nobody in Bannon have none. So we all take a trip. Clarence also is maybe about 4 or 5 years older than us. I don't know. He's older than us and he has a Cadillac and he's driving. So we all drive. If my memory serves me correct, we all go to San Bernardino to get some work. We may have went to Pomona, but we drove out of town to go get some work. Right. So we go there, we get to work. I'm not mistaken, man. We might have been dealing with a dude from 456, man. 456 Pomona Islands, right? Possibly. Anyway, we go get to work. Now, as we coming back, we back in Bannon now. We get off on 22nd Street, which is uptown. I think we was gonna go to the McDonald's. But we noticed the police get behind Clarence's Cadillac. Clarence had a Cadillac, he had it for a while. So long story short, the police follow us all the way down from 22nd. They follow us for about 2.5, 3 miles they follow us from the west side all the way down to the east side. And then they hit the lights and Clarence pulls up in a gas station. So when he pulls up in the gas station, and now we look back, it's like 5 or 6 police cars back there. They do one of those felony stops. Driver, take out, shut the engine off, grab the keys with your left hand, place the keys out the window. They do all that old type of stuff now. So it's Clarence. Clarence got an older dude from Palm Springs in the car. His name is Dollar Bill. Anybody that's older know who Dollar Bill is, man. Dollar Bill at that time probably was about 55, 60. I would probably assume he's passed away by now. Dollar Bill got on some big old giant cowboy boots. So Clarence passed him to 38. Dollar Bill drops the gun down in the cowboy boots. So they doing this felony stop. So they tell my homeboy who was on the left side of me, my homie Baby Drew, and it might have been somebody else, but I think it was just me and Baby Drew in the back. He tells Baby Drew to get out the car. Now, we all got work on us, right? So we hiding and stuff. I think Baby Drew may have put his in his drawers or whatever. So they get him out, they search him. Then they get Clarence out. Clarence then passed off his work and the pistol to Dollar Bill, who drops it in the boot. Now, so, when they get Baby Drew out, they take maybe another 5 minutes, get Clarence out. Then when they come up there to get Dollar Bill is an older looking gentleman. The 55 and 60-year-olds back in the 80s, they look way different than the 55 and 60-year-olds today. So, Dollar Bill looked extremely old. So by that time, I think that they had got the situation resolved. They asked Dollar Bill to get out the car. I don't believe they ended up searching him. Now, by me being in the back seat and they told us to put our hands up, I didn't really have a quick time enough really to hide and shuffle around and get my work and hide it, right? So mine, I believe, was still in my pocket. Luckily for me, I was the last one they called out the car, and by the time they called me out, they had the situation resolved. So what happened was this. Clarence was wanted on that attempted murder of I think it was Scott. And when Palm Springs arrested Clarence and he bailed out, they never did call back up to Bannon and say, hey man, we got him. No need for you guys to continue to look for this dude. So Bannon still had it on their APB list or in their computer or however it is they do it. And so that's why they pulled, that's why they did the felony stop and all that old type of stuff. And even though it was 3 or 4, weeks or a month or two later, or however long it was, that's why they pulled Clarence out the car like that, because they had not been notified that he had been arrested, so on and so forth, man. So yeah, the police make mistakes like that. I definitely believe that story, man. Is good to see that, Big Tune is out, because yeah, that definitely would have been a serious case, and that's one of the regrets that I have, man, going to prison and losing my right to have weapons, because it's a crazy world nowadays, man. You need a weapon in your house, right? And that's why I've really been contemplating about moving to Texas, because Texas will allow a former convict to have a weapon in his house as long as he has been off parole for 5 years and has had no negative encounters with law enforcement. So I've been extremely contemplating moving to Texas, man, just to have the right to at least protect myself when I'm in the home, man. But anyway, y'all know what time it is. It's your boy 16 to life. Resume normal program.